Yo, yo. So we've been away for a little bit. I just got a house and have been moving, and Scott and I are not living in the same house constantly anymore, so coordinating times is a little more difficult. But we are hanging out today, so we're going to do a little bit of podcasting. This is not the best intro, though, so if anybody has any sort of dedicated intro music or something like that they'd like to share with us, we would very much appreciate it, so we can look less like the amateurs that we are.
Yeah, and cut out the dick and balls theme.
Yeah, which, it's a good theme.
It's all right.
But it'll probably alienate people who haven't known us for years.
Yeah,
so,
pretty much.
So. That was my thought process, but it is funny. That is our sense of humor. We are 12.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're certainly 12. But in terms of media and whatnot, we've both been kind of struggling lately because we are having top one syndrome, where we are just comparing everything to our top one, which we now have the same top one, which is pretty neat. And all other art just tends to feel like
it just falls by the wayside.
It's
just a worse version.
Yeah. So we're just pure Umineko supremacy all the time, and now even in the things that I appreciate the most, I find myself talking about them in terms of being Umineko. Like on Instagram, I did a bit of a story today talking about this one and explaining what I see as the value in what I would consider the second best song ever made, and I'm just outlining it as...
This is how it almost does Umineko, kind of, maybe.
Yeah, this is how Father John Misty is one of the greatest geniuses of all time because he approaches Inch.
Yeah. And, I've been writing this Fate video for a while, and which will come out soon. I apologize for the delays. But
on this channel, it seems. Yeah.
We'll have a more dedicated kind of video essay type thing coming out soon.
Those will be fun.
And I'm writing it, and I'm just like... I'm just writing bare bones Umineko right now. That's exactly what it is.
As things seem to be.
That's what it all is. It's like, oh wow, Shiro is struggling with his self-worth because of his survivor's guilt, and this is an understanding as a core means of combating that.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I know someone else who does that.
Yeah. But they're expansive ideas. Like anything that you want to look at in terms of themes in most stories fall into the external validation and invalidation versus internal validation idea.
Yeah.
Like anything that's talking about escapism in any way, anything that's talking about like drugs and alcohol, just any like subsets of escapism, anything that's talking about like depictions of someone's self-worth, stories of oppression, really just anything that's a person's relation to the outside world and how they feel about themselves, which are all stories.
Yes, literally
fall into this.
Literally any story that has a character encounter some sort of challenge or hardship and they have to figure something out to overcome it.
Yeah.
That's all stories.
That's all stories, and that's what it is. It's
done.
It's the theme with the most scope, almost.
Yeah.
Not almost, it is.
Yeah, and it's just done with the most scope in Umineko.
Yes.
And the best.
Yeah.
So it's just really hard to look at other things now.
Yeah.
And it's weird because even outside of that, it's like I was talking earlier with you, and way back before I read Umineko, where I was like, this is like the final boss, just because it was so long.
Yeah.
It was so long.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right.
It's very amusing to me. I've been aware of Umineko since like 2009.
That's not.
I've been aware of Umineko for forever. Not 2009, probably like 2011. But I've just known about it for forever, and I just never really even considered getting into it because most of what I knew about it from was power scaling.
Oh yeah.
But
they're powerful.
They are powerful.
And I guess that sort of ties into what I'm about to say, where it's like, I was looking at it as this final boss just because the length, but it's almost the final boss because it's kind of the best at everything. It's not just the best at what we care about, which we just sort of went over. It's the best plot from from our standards, but also from normal people's standards.
Yes.
Like how the mystery works and how suspenseful that is, how satisfying like the answers are. And also before that, how well it was built up to be really hard to solve, how entertaining it can be, how just silly nonsense there is.
Yeah, how fun it is, the interactions of the cast, all of the character relationships, even on like a very like generic level. Because like not to be condescending or shitty, but like I don't think Battle or Beatrice's relationship is that good. But in terms of like a general romance that's gonna draw people in, yeah, I mean it fits the bill for sure, and it's better than most of them.
Yeah.
So
And it's just any reason I'd go for a story, it feels like Umineko's done it better.
Yeah.
And so that's our big Umineko recommendation, I guess. Just it's better than everything.
Pretty much.
Let's just be condescending. You should play Umineko because everything you like is just done better in Umineko.
The thing is, it feels like alienating.
Yeah.
But especially somebody who agrees with us very often, they probably know that. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
They probably have some
I
idea what they're talking
tweeted
about here.
today saying that I'm like starting to think episode 4 is a 10 and episode 8 is still obviously way better. So it's just further solidified as this untouchable thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone who agrees with us constantly replied, "Why do VNs exist?" Because it's just so
annoying.
long. It's just
so much goddamn time
long.
on it. Yeah.
They're like, yeah. I was like, yeah, I know this is going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
It's just so long.
Yeah. It is so long, and it is so tough to get through in the beginning.
It's still like fun in the beginning.
No,
It's
I enjoy
weird,
it.
because like the mystery's kind of cool, and especially if you haven't. I mean, minor spoilers. I guess I won't give them away, but like if you don't know the thing that it's referencing and sort of playing off of.
Yes,
Then
that makes episode 1 a lot
it's
more entertaining.
more fun.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, neither did I.
No, I didn't know.
I had no idea.
I did not know what happened at the end of episode 1.
Oh no!
But even still, I found episode 2 a lot more entertaining, personally. Yeah, just because I like the...
Episode 3 is also more entertaining, but it wore me down.
I like all of the Ava stuff in episode 3 quite a bit. The Beatrice character arc is... It's scary.
Entertaining enough. It's just it scared me.
Yeah,
because I was like,
scary.
this is how this dude...
It worried me for the story.
Yeah. But then it all...
Episode 2 was great. I really like the mechanics, the red text being introduced, solving mysteries.
Red text is
all
such
of
a
that type of
cool
shit.
thing.
Really cool.
With mysteries. Oh, since most people probably haven't played Umineko, basic summary. Umineko is about this sort of standard murder mystery. Bunch of people on a remote island, connection with the outside world is cut off, murders start happening. And that's sort of episode 1. But then as you get into the other episodes, you see other ways for the story to play out with the same setup. And in the other episodes, except for 1, there's sort of like some of the characters like on like a meta level watching the story and talking about it and trying to figure it out.
There's a writer, reader, author, or a writer, reader, character, reader, author levels of
it's weird, but
so a lot of it is playing and the readers watching the characters.
Yes, but in terms
those readers are characters. So,
on the very basic level, it's sort of like the detective and the culprit kind of are talking without you knowing who the culprit is.
Yes,
while the story's happening.
Yes,
but like
that's exactly
on a different level, which is kind of weird. But what we mean by the red text is they introduce a mechanic where the culprit can say something is true irrefutably. Yeah. And while that seems like it could take away from the mystery, the way it's used is
very inventive.
Yeah, it adds another layer to everything.
For sure.
And it made reading it super fun. From just a like pure like wanting to see a cool mystery aspect.
Yeah. Definitely.
So it's just way better than everything at everything.
Yeah,
and it sucks.
It is. It does kind of suck.
It's great.
It feels a bit like completing the game.
Yeah,
the
game, it's the final boss.
That is like media analysis, opinion having.
Yeah, it's the final boss.
Pretty much. Yeah.
At least at this point, because it's like now I'm trying to.
Now I feel like I'm in post game stuff, and I'm like, okay, what do I do here now? Can I entertain myself enough? To want to keep playing this game?
It's like, I really love this game all this time, but it's like, you know,
But then it's also having a relatively expansive base on other things that I like quite a bit too, that are definitive in my perspective in other ways, even if they are all subsets of Umineko in terms of the essence of everything.
Yeah. I still love my other favorites.
Yeah, most ideas or conflicts or whatever in different walks of life are defined for me and outlined in other stories that I like quite a bit.
Yeah.
So it's tough to think what niche could I possibly fill with a story, and I don't even know what the story is going to be about on that level going in.
It's just really hard to find new things now.
It is. I'm finding myself being more prone to just entertainment type of, like, I'm listening to a lot of Drain Gang. I'm playing fucking Pokemon. Like, that's about what Umineko did to me. Is I'm playing Pokemon and listening to Drain Gang. I have zero energy to analyze Kendrick.
Oh, I've actually been enjoying the album.
Have you been? You've been getting into it more?
Yeah, a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think that him adding the Heart Part 5 helps a lot.
That's fair. Yeah, I really like the difference in perspective that the song is being stated through.
Yeah.
Where rather than just being a perspectiveless, just kind of blanket statements, it is now something being uttered by this character that we've seen change and come to fruition in himself throughout the course of the album, like quite a bit. Are you now Heart Part 5 is the best song, or are you waiting until you?
Oh, on the album?
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay.
Oh, definitely.
Fair enough.
I don't know how many times you've listened to it.
The Heart Part 5, four times.
I mean, I don't know how much you've gotten, but like...
Yeah. I listened to it once today, and I listened to it 3 times when it came out.
You know how... I'm conflicted on how much I like this album, and a lot of it is the Heart Part 5.
Okay, fair enough.
Because you know how we talk about what makes a good climax, and seeing like very detailed change over time that happens. Like,
it does do that. You're right.
Oh, it does that really well.
That's fair.
So it's adding that kind of feels like how I felt when I played the Revenant's Dream.
Interesting. Okay, I see the comparison.
For anyone who hasn't played The House in Fata Morgana,
you're doing a good job of adding these. By the way, because Dad gave this criticism.
Yeah, he did. Our dad. I watched one of our other videos with our dad, and who doesn't watch any of the things that we like, and he's just sort of watching because it's us and we're his sons. And I'm like, what criticisms do you have as someone who doesn't know the hell we're talking about? And he's like, yeah, maybe you should say what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah.
So anyway,
make it followable by people who haven't seen everything that you guys like.
Yeah. So for anyone who hasn't played The House in Fata Morgana, there's a character who we won't name.
That's hilarious.
We won't name this character. But anyway, a lot of people will disagree, but at least for us and our perspective on art, she's not that great for a really long time. And
if you're the type of person who likes to read into things, and art's more about the meaning that you can put onto it rather than the meaning that you take from it, or as you would probably say it, things that you don't need spoon-fed to you, which we don't agree with that presentation of the idea, but sure. If that's your view.
I'm a proud spoon-fed person.
Yes. I like to have a spoon to eat my soup rather than just kind of osmosis it through the air.
Hell yeah. No, you just smell the steam.
Yes, I just need to smell it, and I could just assume what it would taste like. I don't need to eat it because I don't need any of the calories.
Exactly. Yeah. But anyway, after a while of this character kind of being in the background, they start to be in the bit more of the foreground, but not incredibly in the foreground. Like, they're not the main character or anything, and you see bits and pieces of their perspective more and more, and it's like, okay, we're getting more of a foundation here, but still not living up to the hype for me. And then in this, not in the official, progression of the game side story, we get...
It's a redux of a part that people like quite a bit that we don't really think is good.
Yeah.
It's a redux where it shows it from a different person's perspective, and it's 45 minutes of granular detail written out in text showing every bit of her thought rather than a very sparse account of the wrong person to tell the story through at the time in the relationship. We actually said this on the last podcast, so maybe we should move on from here. But
what I was going to say basically is, before I read that part of the story, I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. I see what we're going for here. Maybe it'll connect. And then we get this fantastic, brilliant climax that just sort of added in.
Yes.
And that's exactly how I feel with the Heart Part 5 now on Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers.
Interesting. I haven't thought that deep into it, so I'm curious to... I mean, if you care to share now or if you'd rather just talk about it later, that's up to you. But no, I have a solid conception of the album, not to the point where I'd feel comfortable talking about it, really.
I'm not quite at that point,
Like, I haven't read the album yet, which is usually my bar for me. I read albums because I want to see the grammar of it, see the alignment of the words, think about everything while I'm reading it, and I have nothing else going on. I am fully dedicated to it. If I sit down and listen word for word, that could be one thing, but I rarely do that.
I think that this album you can do that for. If you want to sit down and listen to it, like, intently.
Yeah.
I was doing that, and I was, like, getting
I did do a listen where the only thing that I was doing while listening to the album was installing that door handle.
That's fair.
And I was just turning screws for an hour.
Hell. Wait, what?
It wasn't that one. The door handle on the back door just...
It was a shitty door handle, and
It took me 20 minutes to put one screw in.
Okay.
So, yeah. The screw sucked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I was... Yeah.
All right.
If somebody asked me if I wanted to join the military there, I would have said yes. Yeah. That was my mood at the moment.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
What the hell? Where the hell were we? Before I brought up Morgana or Morale.
We were saying what the Heart Part 5 does for Mr. Morale and the Big
Yeah.
Steppers in terms of its narrative development and its climax, given where it's situated on the album's track list at the end.
No, I know, but we were talking about Umineko.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, we might be going, so we might be just moving forward.
Yeah, gotta move forward.
But what I was saying with Umineko and being a top one now, it's annoying. But I feel like this kind of exists, this syndrome.
Yes, yeah, that was the point of the discussion, was the top one syndrome. Because I see it in other people.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And a lot of the times it's something like Gintama, where it's something that they're just so invested in the character cast, the dynamics among them. They feel like these characters are like close, intimate people in their life. And nothing else can almost replicate that.
Yeah.
And then especially in the pretext that you did it first, nothing almost can compete with that.
Yeah.
Because if you have something that is maybe in a vacuum, in very absolute terms, the peak that you can reach at that front of quality, that being like cast dynamics and how the characters play to each other, how you get into that type of thing.
Yeah.
There probably is nothing that will outcompete Gintama by a margin where it would supersede the fact that you did Gintama first and that you had those relationships first, that it became a like grounded part of your life first.
That's fair.
Which is sort of the conflict with Umineko. It just happens to be better by enough where it overwhelmed other
Yeah,
things.
what I was going to say with that was, because I was kind of like this with Ava a long time ago, where I'm sure anyone watching this knows, but I really love Neon Genesis Evangelion for a really long time. It was my top one by a lot, and I kind of thought about it, a lot of the things I said about Umineko, and of course it's a similar story to Umineko, but I thought it was better than everything at everything, and I never really saw anything surpassing it, and slowly over time, not even that my love for it has faded at all, if anything it's grown. I found other works that sort of started to rival it. And then I did Umineko, which surpassed it, which was weird.
Yeah,
And
that was weird. Once, because I was on episode 5 or 6 of Umineko when you were, I think, right?
Were
When
you?
you finished? Was I? No, I wasn't. I was on like episode 3.
When I finished, I thought you
Thought
started
so.
after me.
No.
Oh, really? Okay.
No. We were playing it concurrently.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Alright.
I was in episode 2 or 3.
Okay.
And you were like questioning Ange versus Shinji.
Yeah.
And I'm like, in my head, I didn't think it was at all possible or within the realm of possibility that at any point in the future, foreseeably, you'd even consider somebody being maybe even with Shinji at all.
Yeah.
That was written off in my head. I told people, like, multiple times.
It was
People
written
would
off
ask
in my
me,
head.
Yeah. I was like, there's no chance that Scott ever says somebody compares to Shinji. Because even if they did, I don't think Scott would acknowledge it. That's what I thought. I thought even if they did, you wouldn't acknowledge it.
I mean, that's essentially what you said, though.
Yeah.
It,
With the Gintama thing, I don't think you'd acknowledge it.
because at the ceiling we thought existed.
But I thought that was the character quality ceiling, too. I made a top 50 characters right before doing... when I finished Fata and hadn't done Umineko, which was like a 3-week gap.
Yeah.
And I said Michelle and Musashi and Shinji were tied and at the peak level of quality that a character can exist within. And I didn't think that anything would ever pass it.
Yeah.
And then
So you kind of had this in a way.
In a way, yeah. I just
But
had a
just
few
with
of them.
three?
Yeah.
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 But it's interesting seeing, just sort of, because you brought up other people with Gintama, like what they are for other people. Because Gintama's a big one. I've seen JoJo as one a couple times.
Yeah.
Where like this is their undeniable top one, and that one's kind of cool because like they're just really into the bizarre. Excuse my.
Hell yeah. Yeah. They're into the bizarre adventure of it.
Yeah,
Fuck
the
yeah, they are.
bizarreness of this adventure.
Yeah.
Of JoJo.
They like the ridiculous poses
Yeah.
and progressively more flamboyant dress.
Speaking of both of those things,
Yeah.
my Utena rewatch,
Phenomenal. Yeah.
they have both. And I didn't
Yeah.
realize how much they posed in that show.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was just like
That
in, like,
show's ridiculous.
I thought it was just in the camera scenes
Okay.
where like because they are just posing for the
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah.
But then like
All the dudes' just shirts are open and.
no, but that's when the camera is on. Like when they're snapping pictures towards the end.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm watching the show and Nanami just gets on the table, like does like a split or something, and like in a scene.
Interesting.
They're talking. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
But it's like JoJo too.
That's fair.
So yeah, maybe
Utena and
if
JoJo
you're
are basically the same.
if you're really into they are.
I know.
I
I said that and I was kidding and I was like, oh, they kind of are.
They actually are.
I know.
if you're into JoJo for the poses or the themes of specifically Part 7, which sort of tie
I
in
was
with
gonna
everything.
say, you just think Johnny is a worse Utena.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should watch it. This is great.
Yeah.
But people have weird top ones.
I don't know
all
why
the
I was
time.
saying you think that. I think that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had this realization while talking to someone because I was talking about Funny Valentine and like what they represent, and I was sort of underselling how much they represent like toxic masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause he definitely does,
For sure.
and
Nowhere near as well as the Utena
no,
antagonist.
no,
Yes.
but
as nobody does.
no,
I don't think.
hell yeah.
I'm a big fan of his. As a character, not as a person, of course.
You know.
He's a garbage person, but
Yeah,
he's
he's
I very
pretty much the
very much
worst.
appreciate his function in the story. He is definitely my number one villain nowadays.
It's fair. It's up there for me.
Yeah.
He's great.
Um,
As a villain, he's the
yes,
worst.
yes.
I hate him a
He's-
lot.
Yes.
So much.
He's a shitty person, but he doesn't
So
he doesn't
much.
exist, so I don't really find these feelings of hatred. I mean, he does.
He exists.
but He exists.
There are people who are exactly
Yes,
like him.
yes. He exists
and
as
it's
an
terrifying.
idea. He is
It's terrifying.
a huge proportion of people, unfortunately, but no, the actual person
no,
with
I know,
the name does
I
not
know.
exist, so I do not find that feeling of hatred, even though maybe I should.
I hate him.
But
Yeah.
did you have more to that ends, or did you want to move on to some questions?
I mean, I can keep saying how much I hate him.
I mean, earned, but you know.
We just keep just like I hate him
Yeah.
for like an hour.
So, like the 12 people who have seen Newton
hate him
who are
so
watching. Yeah.
Yeah, we can move on to some questions.
Cool.